It always amazes me how big my workshop looks when I don't have a monster truck in it and I don't have a trailer in it. So that's just two things taken out and it looks massive. That you can appreciate how big they are now. So I've already been quite busy today. Now I didn't bother filming it because I filmed it not long ago, so I've just broke down another two 66s what I bought from a farmer, and because at Brands Hatch we ripped another tyre. So I've got two, the rear tyres in there, and all the other tyres I've dropped off in my lorry at County Tiles up in Calne. So just going to open up the doors now, because next what we're going to do is we're going to get Swamp Thing back into the workshop. It's going to be parked in there and we're going to change the gearbox on it. I've got a feeling that the gearbox is starting to slip. I noticed it a little bit at Brands Hatch. So normally it's just wear and tear, and it's the frictions in the gearbox that are getting worn out. And I'm pretty sure when I do an oil change on it this time, the oil's going to be quite black because it's actually burning off the frictions in there. So if it's not that, it might be the torque converter, but I'm pretty sure when we drain the oil, it's going to be dark, and that needs a refresh. So we'll be going down to my friend Zane Llewellyn, down at Shepton Mallet for him to rebuild it. But first of all, we got to get it out and see what it's like. So this is the difference now. All that room is gone. So Swamp Thing is back in, the trailer is back in. And that's nearly all the room gone. That's how much room that stuff takes up in the workshop. The workshop is quite big. When people come in it, when nothing's in it, they go, "Wow, it's quite a big workshop." As soon as you take the trailer and the monster truck out, it's big. But as soon as you put it all back in, we soon run out of room. Okay, so we've got the truck, and what we've done is, because the drain on the gearbox is on this end of it, we've actually lifted the back up a little bit and dropped the front so we can get a little bit more oil out. I've already loosened the bolt under there, but what we have to do is, because all the prop shaft and stuff's underneath, we run a little funnel and then it drops it into our container. So I've cleaned the container out, but I'm pretty sure I haven't unloosened it enough. I thought I had. So I'm just undoing the drain plug now, and then we can see what state the oil's in. Are we gonna look? All right. Quite a long thread on this thing. No, it isn't as dark as I thought it was going to be. So we're going to take it out and put a different one in anyway. That's actually pretty clean. And then we'll send it over to Zane at Zane Tech, and he can just check it through. It might not be anything the matter with it, but it was quite a hot day. But that oil, because it's Lucas oil, it works really well and it's fairly clean. So it might be the torque converter's playing up a little bit, but we'll let him check it out. Okay, so we're at the stage now where we're ready to lift the gearbox out. Now, to get the gearbox out, we take the starter motor off so we can undo the torque converter bolts that are inside there. We take the bellow housing bolts out that go around there, take off the rear support, and then we take out the front of the transfer case so we can undo the drive in the gearbox, and that's what holds the gearbox in. So at the moment it's just sat there, so now we just need to lift it out with the crane. Okay, so that's it, almost free now. Yes, it's free now, so let's go up. Now I take the torque converter off next. This is where sometimes a little bit of oil comes out. Oh, God, it's something tight. Yeah, we spill a little bit of oil doing that. And so now we go up. Gonna have to stop filming because I'm gonna need a hand now.
Okay.
Okay, so Georgina had to give me a little hand because it's quite close to the distributor. We put this plate on here so we can run the gearbox down the side of it to get it on the floor. So there's no lifting. So yeah, so that one's out. Let's go and drop this one off at Zane. Give him a ring to see if he's in, and then we can put another one back in. That new gearbox, or reconditioned gearbox, it isn't brand new, it's one I've had rebuilt, is back in. So it's very similar. So we take it out on, oh dear, what's happened there? That's it. So we put it back in with the crane and it lowers down. So it's got extra long dowels on the engine. So that is what locates everything, because it's got that's how thick the motor plate is. So this is where basically what the engine mount is on the monster truck. So it's got one of these on the front of the engine, and this is a mid plate. So this goes between the back of the engine and the gearbox. So yeah, so they've got extra long dowels that stick all the way through to locate it. We put the bolts in, put the rear mount in. Next thing we got to do is to adjust the gear shifter. So this is the gear shifter. So let's go down to that. Okay, so this is what we're doing now on the gearbox. So we're adjusting to make sure that this is what connects to the gear stick in the cab, and this is what selects the gears on the gearbox. So I'm pretty sure we've got it very close anyway. So if we go into gear now, when we pull this out, we don't want this to move at all. We want no friction between this and that. So if we go into reverse, which is 2 pulls on the stick, see it doesn't move. So if I do it this way, you probably see it a bit better. So neutral's next. See, it doesn't move at all. Just push it back in the hole. And then first gear. And second gear. Okay, so this is a 3-speed gearbox, so we got a third gear. Doesn't move at all, goes straight back in. And now we just go and check it back again. So now we go into second gear, first gear, and neutral. Okay, and to get it in reverse, we have to leave a lever in the cab. So put it in reverse. And that's good. And then 2 pushes, and then it's in park. And that's park. So that is how we adjust the gear stick and gearbox in Swamp Thing. Right, let's fire it up and then see what the oil level is. We have to check the oil level on the gearbox when it's running. So let's do that now. Okay, so it still needs a little bit more in. So got some Lucas oil. Let's get it in. It makes your eyes water a bit. Wow, it's all done. That is hot work, and especially when it's a really hot day here in the UK today. On the thermometer in the workshop at the moment, so it's just coming up to 5 o'clock and it's 30 degrees in there. And after you've just been standing right next to the exhausts, which are really, really hot, I am absolutely sweaty. So we are just going through one of my spare lockers. In the lockers there we got there's the champagnes, we got knuckles, we got planetaries at the back. That box there at the back's got spindles. Behind that there's all some prop shaft guards and stuff. So in here we got the half shafts, prop shafts, 4-link bars already made up. Yeah, we're just going through having a quick stock take of what we need to put back in, but we're fairly good. So we got all the steering rams, loads more half shafts, some are made up, so that one there, that one's made up, that one's made up, and then all these are the other ones. Just got some more sway bars in, got a bent one that we've took out, and they're what's we got left. So we've got all the nuts and bolts, transmission fans, more nuts and bolts. This is all where we keep all the lifting equipment in that, so the crane is still in the back of the monster truck at the minute. Here's all my bits that I use on the monster truck, so bits that do the suspension, bits that help get the diffs out, and we paint them all yellow so you can't leave them in the truck. It's really obvious if you've got something in, so we always paint, if anything that's not meant to be on the truck when it's in use is bright yellow, so we don't leave it in there. Yeah, so we've got the gazebo that fits in the back. So yeah, we're just going to probably make up some more 4-link bars and put some more 4-link bars in there, because we're a little bit short on them, because I think there's only 2 in there. But the good thing about my monster truck is all the 4-link bars are all the same length. So the top ones are the same length as the bottom, and they're even the same width as the tie bars on the front. So they're all the same size. The only difference on the tie bar is on the top one it's a 2-inch tie bar, and on the bottom it's 2.5 inches. Can't run a 2.5-inch one in the top because the diff housing gets in the way. So yeah, so we're just going to put all this back in the trailer, tidy it all up, and then probably make some more 4-link bars. I spoke to Zane about the gearbox. He's actually hurt himself at the minute, so he's a little bit out of action. So what we're going to do, we're going to put that one back in the trailer as a spare. I have got another spare at the back, but it hasn't got the SFI bell housing on it. But we've got another bell housing in stock to put onto it. But yes, it still works at the moment. It just felt like it was slipping a little bit. It wasn't bad, it was still doing wheelies and stuff, but it just didn't feel like it normally does. So yeah, so we can keep that as a spare, but we've got that reconditioned one back in there now. Just going to do a service on the engine, so I want to check all the valves and everything on it, and also want to take the injectors out and clean the injectors, and then an oil change as per normal. So yeah, we've got a little bit more to do, but let's first put everything back in the lockers. Now we've seen what we've got in there, and then we can get on with some work. Okay, so we got new Lucas oil in the gearbox. So now we're going to change the oil in the engine and put some more Lucas oil in that too. Now on my monster truck it's methanol injected, and these are the injectors that come out of the top of the supercharger bird hat. So it's actually got 16 ports on mine, but we're only just doing the top at the minute. So these are the hoses that come from the distribution block, and then they go into the injectors, and then they go into the injector collector, which has a little breather on it. So I'll show you that part of it now. So that's the distribution block, and then the hoses come from that into the injector collector. Now the injector collectors have got little breather holes in the top of them, and they've got an O-ring that seals up in there. So the first thing we're going to do, these don't normally block up, they're quite a large hole in there. We're just going to get an air line and blow through them just to make sure there's no debris in there. And that's good, all the little breathers are clear. So that's good. So next we're going back onto the injectors to make sure they got very, very small holes in the injectors. Let's see if any of them are blocked up. So it's quite easy to see if any are blocked up. You can see through there, you can see the paper on the other side. See the paper on the other side? I'll zoom in, see if we can do it here. There you go, you can see through that one. See through that one. Last one. You can't see through that one. So that one must be blocked. Yeah, you can actually probably see, look, there's still some methanol stuck in there. So let's get some brake cleaner and blow it backwards to see what falls out. So there is what came out of the injector. So if I look at it now, you can see all the way through it. What I think, I run a fuel filter, but what I think over a period of time, these hoses, little bits come off inside them. So I have changed quite a few of these. Yeah, and I think it just blocks up the injector a little bit. So reason I thought though I was going to find some blocked ones is the engine's warming up a little bit quicker than it normally does. And also we're not using as much methanol as we normally do, which at the price of fuel at the moment is a good thing, but we want Swamp Thing to be on the top form. So yes, I'm going to clean all these ones. This is what it looks like before you take it apart. So there's this side, because it's each separate side. So there's 4 in the top there. And then on my truck, we got another 4 fuel lines down the bottom. So it sprays 1 per cylinder. So let's get all of the rest of them cleaned out and checked. We want to keep Swamp Thing on top form. So sometimes when you're working on a monster truck, there are some perks when it's a hot sunny day when the ice cream man comes round to the workshop. Okay, so all the injectors are back together now, so that they're all clean. There was literally 2 blocked in the top, 1 either side. So the next thing I'm just checking is the way we do the mixture on the monster truck is with this little thing in here. So this is what we call the pill. So it's actually a piece of copper in there, or brass, with a very, very small hole in it. And that basically you set the mixture of the monster truck by returning fuel to the tank. So this is what the pill is in here. So this is what returns the fuel to the tank. So if you want it to run leaner, you put a pill in it with a bigger hole. And if you want it to run richer, you put a smaller hole, so more fuel has to go into the engine. So I'm just going to check it and make sure it's nice and clean, because we did have a little bit of debris. But the holes in this are a lot bigger, but there's no debris in that at all. That's nice and clean. So we can put that back in. And we're good to go. So we'll have to fire it up in a minute. We're going to check for fuel leaks, and also I want to check the timing on the engine as well. So we ideally want it about 32 degrees, but I think it's probably a little bit more than that. I think it's probably nearer 28, but the way it's starting, it's quite hard to start it sometimes. So I think the timing might have slipped a little bit, but we can check that now. Okay, so that's good. We got no fuel leaks. So now let's check the timing. So these are my timing marks. So the two little pins is where I have to look through, and then one of the white marks is top dead center, and then the other one is set at 32 degrees. So let's go and fire the engine up, get the timing light on it and see how we look. I don't think I'm going to be at the video doing it because it's quite dangerous, especially when you're that close to it. I'm going to need to keep both hands with me. So we'll just check it and see what it looks like. So that is what the timing is set at. So it's just over 31 to 32 degrees. So that is spot on. So the thing that might be up might be the starter motor. It's just starting to get a little bit weak. It's been on there for a while. We've got a spare one, but we'll leave it in there for the moment. It's still turning it over and starting the truck. But yeah, just wanted to check that. So that's all the engine all checked over. Off camera, I did the valve lash. I didn't bother videoing it because we've done that before on one of the other videos. So next thing to do is just wipe the truck over quickly, just to get it nice and tidy, and then we can load it back up into the trailer. And that's it loaded in.
Took me in the small